A few weeks ago, I made a video talking about the steady decline of the platform known as Twitter, or X if you want to sound like an edgy teenager. Whether it is the lack of consistent moderation contributing to the prevalence of racism, sexism, and other forms of bigotry, I had enough of the platform and decided on a hiatus. Well, upon recent update of removing the block featured on that platform, and many other factors, I decided to make my hiatus from Twitter permanent. I downloaded any or all art that I posted on Twitter and decided to yeet my account entirely, effective December 10th. For a while, Twitter was a pretty decent spot for artists wanting to make a name for themselves. While I myself never got that much engagement, I did find it easy to interact with artists of a similar genre, as well as fandoms that I was interested in, which in turn led me to more incredible artists that I didn't know existed. It generally was a nice spot to be in. And that was the case until edgelord Elon took over and ran a bull in the China shop known as internet moderation. Ever since then, my feed became less about art, anime, and relevant topics to me, to a place filled with drama and controversy. All of a sudden, these rage-baiting, drama-farming accounts started popping up in my feed, and I never followed any of these accounts before. Anyone who knows me knows that I don't really care anything about celebrity culture or anything like that. But regardless, this content was clogging up my main feed, and every time I would go to Twitter and check my favorite artists, I ended up closing the app a few minutes later, feeling annoyed, and not being able to engage in the content that I really cared about. Slowly but surely, my feed turned from incredible artists working on their craft to regurgitated TikTok slop or Zoomer's attempt at Facebook humor. And yes, me quitting Twitter probably will hurt me analytically not to post art or new videos and stream links. Dealing with that platform just wasn't worth the hassle, nor the icky feeling I got whenever I logged into the app. I don't know what happened, my likes and preferences haven't really changed, but like I said, what really sealed the deal with me, in my case, was the removal of the block feature. I don't care to interact with those who spout bigotry, but that's beside the point. I already made a video on that. While I had already deleted the Twitter app from my phone about a month or so ago, I finally pulled the plug on my Twitter account on November 10th, 2024. Now I get it, division and content farming is all the rage on social media platforms these days. That is the goal with these corporations, and like I said, I already went over that in a previous video. I just don't believe in compromising my values in order to form upvotes or get quote-unquote engagement. There should be some middle ground in being able to engage with the content that you like and still having a meaningful discussion without it turning into a virtual shouting match. Enter Bluesky, the new social media platform that you likely heard a lot about in the artist/creator space, and for good reason. You're better able to curate your feed to your interests and pursuits that you're into. I know a lot of people felt understandably burned by a lot of social media platforms, and rightfully so. It can be time-consuming to go to a new platform in the interest of trying to show your work and build a community. I mean, think about the whole Instagram/Kara situation from earlier this year. Everyone was so eager to join Kara because of the whole Instagram AI scraping situation, but I barely hear about Kara these days in the artist community anymore. Whenever a new, lesser-known platform shows up, it almost feels like a flash in a pan. No one thinks these platforms are realistically going to last, so most people don't even bother trying to use them. And I get it, it definitely is tedious to start from scratch every time there's a new platform to join. To this point, I will say that not one single social media platform will be the end-all or be-all for artists, or really any creator, and it's something that younger artists need to consider when they post their artwork. If people want to think of art as a sort of career, it definitely helps to understand what type of audience you want to seek out with your work. You probably will need to post on multiple platforms to see any sort of results. At least that was the case with me. And if you want to see me yap about anime, art, and video games, then don't hesitate to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I also do art and gaming streams over on Twitch, twitch.tv/iasuna19. In fact, the footage of this video is me coming up with emote designs for my Twitch channel because I'm really close to hitting affiliate over there. Any emotes that I do make for Twitch, I'll also upload to my Discord once they're ready. So if you want to join my Discord, I'll have that down in the description, as well as pinned to the top comment. But that's enough shilling for a day. Time to move on with the rest of the video. Now, Bluesky itself is being seen as the Twitter alternative or the Twitter killer, and I'm really hesitant to label the website as that. On the surface level, both Bluesky and Twitter look a lot alike, so you would think that they work the same way, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Honestly, if I had to compare Bluesky to pretty much any other social media platform, I'd say it's the most like old school Tumblr, as opposed to it being close to Twitter. What I mean by that is that you pretty much have to build your feed from scratch. You have to build it brick by brick, adding on to interests and fandoms and all the stuff that you enjoy in your main feed. Now, my main interests, of course, are artists and anime and cats, of course. So instead of having to go through and find all my favorite artists that moved to Bluesky, I actually was able to find most of them compiled in a list for me. Basically, a list is a curated group of accounts that you put together for your own purposes. With lists, you can pretty much mute, block, or follow the accounts that are in it, depending on the subject of the list. Users, of course, can create their own list and put their own mutuals or other people that they interact with on it, and vice versa. I'm sure someone could probably explain it better than I can, but having your own interests of lists and feeds and stuff that you want to follow definitely helps when trying to figure out what you want on your feed versus what you don't want. Some users already generate lists based on specific interests that they have, so as more users come onto the platform, it's easier to get in touch with the things that you like. For instance, I've really been into independent games lately and have been following indie game devs quite a lot on other social media platforms. So when I found out that there was the whole starter pack dedicated to indie developers, I was able to follow all of them with pretty much one click. There's dedicated lists and starter packs for pretty much any field, whether that's science, art, graphic design, cooking, baking, pretty much any interest that you could possibly think of. There are new ones that I pretty much discover like every day, so I'm still learning a lot about the platform. I've only been on it for like a few weeks, but from what I can tell, I know I'll probably stick with this platform for quite a while. While I can't tell you to join Bluesky, that is a decision you'll have to make on your own. I can talk about the features of the platform that I do like, and one of those was of course the list that I just mentioned. But another feature of the platform that I did also enjoy is the lack of invasive ads. I think sometimes the advertising that I was being shown contributed to the deterioration of my Twitter feed. It was kind of obvious that on Twitter there's a certain agenda being pushed on the platform, and if you don't necessarily agree, then you're probably going to have a harder time on the platform. On Twitter, I found myself doom scrolling quite a bit, which of course affected my own mental health. Sites like Twitter definitely play on people's emotions and feed into their worst instincts, which is pretty much what Elon wanted when he bought the platform. More outrage and engagement means more money. While I haven't been on Bluesky for very long and I'm not really following a whole bunch of people yet, I will say that the art community on there definitely feels a lot more united compared to Twitter, or even Instagram and other places. People are showing their art, both traditional and digital, and being met with little to no harassment based on how they decide to draw their characters, whether that's fan art or original art. Vibes over here in Bluesky feel a lot more chill, and artists don't feel like they have to be on each other's neck trying to get more engagement for their own platform. Overall, it's a really nice feeling and something that I hope that Bluesky never loses. This was how the art community used to be before TikTok and art lore drama started, and before Twitter became the cesspool that it is today. I think really the only other place that has that type of feel again is Tumblr. As far as feeling like you can interact with the favorite fandoms that you're a part of without having to be ostracized for it. Compared to Twitter and even Instagram, users do have more control over the data that they do share on Bluesky. And while I don't think that Bluesky is completely open sourced, it is very much more decentralized than Twitter and again most other major social media platforms these days. While it has less to do with art, I figured it's quite important to bring these topics up because a lot of the platforms that we use are either controlled by Google, Amazon, or even Facebook. So I think it's a good thing that a site that isn't exactly tied to any of those places is actually alive and thriving. The bottom line is that users have far greater control over what they see on their timeline with the customized feeds that I mentioned earlier. So far, Bluesky does have a lot going for it, but it will be interesting to see how the platform continues to evolve, as there are still some issues when it comes to how it works. Hopefully, as more users adopt the platform, the site itself does get upgrades as far as moderation and other features that help the place be more user-friendly. Now, with any app that suddenly becomes popular overnight, there are going to be some, issues as far as supporting so many people at once on the platform. Last I heard, there's over 20 million people that use Bluesky now. One thing I do wish that Bluesky had was the feed that was chronologically ordered like old school Instagram. I think that that would be one way to keep up with the creators that you are the most interested in as far as seeing their artwork and other updates. I also sort of wish that there's a trending page for your interests, maybe not like Twitter, but maybe more geared to the stuff that you follow and interact with. I low-key think that would be great for artists trying to grow in their niche and those who want to expand beyond that. Tumblr sort of has that feature, but I would like to see it implemented in something like Bluesky. I also would like an edit post button because I don't think it's good for engagement to have to retake something down if you made a simple grammar mistake and you can't fix it. As far as performance goes, I haven't really noticed too many problems on mobile as well as PC, but I do think that the search menu could be a little bit better as far as finding specific tags and mentions. But besides little hiccups with some lag here and there, I never really had too much of an issue with the platform as far as that's concerned. Again, that's to be expected with a platform that pretty much blew up out of nowhere. From what I can tell, the devs do seem at least somewhat responsive to what people are wondering about the platform, so I'm sure these minor issues would be addressed in the future. All of this to beg the question, can Bluesky replace Twitter? While I'm not entirely convinced that Bluesky will ever overtake Twitter as one of the top social media platforms, I will say that it is a necessary competitor. I don't think too many people disagree with the notion that big tech definitely has the upper hand as far as monopolies go for consuming content. The internet itself was designed to be a place for creativity for people of all walks of life. That said, the internet does feel quite stale when a lot of the websites that we use every day are owned by the same 3 or 4 corporations. Competition does breed innovation for a lot of different brands, and tech is no different. We deal with a lot of crap from these bigger platforms because we're not really willing to try something that might be a bit different. I think if decentralized sites that are built like Bluesky are allowed to thrive, I think that's actually a good thing for tech overall. Not just for those who consume content, but for those who create it as well. While a lot of these platforms come and go and times change along with the trends, Bluesky really does have a lot of the foundations it needs to be a very stable yet successful platform. Maybe not as successful as Twitter in its heyday, but something that definitely can give it a run for its money. If you disagree with my take, then please let me know down in the comments. Issues such as these are very important to me as someone who creates art because the platforms that we use to share our art are changing pretty much every day. While I don't necessarily think you need to join every single new platform that ever comes out, having options means that artists don't necessarily have to settle for one particular platform. If Bluesky does prove to be successful, then other platforms might follow the same route. A decentralized internet is good for everyone, not just artists or creators, but users in general. One can hope that we'll get away from such cookie-cutter websites to something that resembles the early internet as far as customization and being able to access the content that you enjoy. While Twitter feels like screaming into the void, Bluesky feels like you're in a tight-knit community, but you're still able to reach others that you may not have noticed before. I am very interested to see how this platform continues to evolve for its users, and I wonder if it represents a change in the overall monopoly that is the internet these days. But time will tell. I think one last topic that I want to get into before I stop yapping here is about overall engagement. My old Twitter didn't exactly have a bunch of engagement, although part of that was my fault. There were months where I just didn't feel bothered using that platform. But in the past few months, I have been trying to grow my Twitter, and I tried to post links and videos and artwork, but I wasn't really getting any notice. Many of the posts that were supposed to garner engagement felt more like scams. If you've been used to art Twitter, you likely know of the posts that I'm talking about. The ones where this random person is generally trying to see all different types of artwork, promising that they will follow the artists that post underneath their comment. It's pretty easy to spot out engagement bait when you see it. Now, I don't know how true this claim is, but I've seen other people saying that posts like this are those who are looking to steal other people's artwork in order to train AI. But again, I don't know what part of that is true or what part of that is just simply fear-mongering on the internet, which obviously you can't believe everything that you hear, especially on Twitter of all places. But enough about Twitter, I'm here to talk about Bluesky, and like I said, engagement on that platform feels a lot more natural. It feels like I'm interacting with real, actual people and not bots or scammers. I haven't had people trying to slide into my DMs trying to quote-unquote buy my own artwork. While obviously it takes time to grow a following on a platform like that, I will say that discoverability does seem to be a lot better than it was on Twitter. Because of all the starter packs and lists for Bluesky, it's much easier to stick with your niche and find like-minded creators and artists, pretty much anyone of any particular genre. Even posts where I didn't put any hashtags seem to be getting some sort of traction on Bluesky. While social media and the internet as a whole feels like a rat race these days, Bluesky really does feel like its own corner of the world. And I seriously hope that never changes even as the platform grows in popularity. I think having a site that doesn't rely on such short-form content is a nice change in pace compared to a lot of other websites and apps. I think if you remain consistent on Bluesky, you definitely can grow your own smaller following. I believe I already have more followers on Bluesky than I ever did on Twitter. And I've only been using Bluesky for about a month or so. So, all in all, Bluesky is definitely that new shiny toy that everyone is talking about on the internet these days. I can definitely understand the hesitancy in wanting to join because you might think that it's just another flash in the pan. But unlike Kara and a lot of other social media platforms for quote-unquote artists, I do believe that Bluesky does have more staying power because, like I said, it does have a larger user base. If your art is tied to specific fandoms or other types of genres, then you're more likely to get noticed on the platform. Not just by other artists, but other people that do generally enjoy that type of content. It has the sense of a tight-knit community, but yet still connected enough and accessible for other users to join the platform. This is the main difference between something like Bluesky and something like Kara, a platform that was made for artists. For those that wanted to grow their art outside of the art community, it was hard to pick up new followers that weren't in the same field. And because of that, I think it's much more easier to get an organic following as opposed to something that may appear to be botted. As far as the technical aspect of things, I really haven't had an issue ever since I joined Bluesky, apart from the occasional lag. But like I said, that's expected in a platform that pretty much grew out of nowhere. It might be a little bit until servers can actually handle that much traffic at one time. So I wouldn't want to give the devs a hard time over that. I do think that if you're looking to grow your own following on social media, then Bluesky is definitely a place that's worth looking into. Perhaps even more so if you already do have an established following. As someone who's into more specific niches, I find it to be great. But for those who do have more general taste, then I still think that it's worth looking into as far as somewhere else other than Twitter. While I'm not sure that it'll ever actually overtake Twitter, it is a place where I can see myself posting for quite a while. I'm very interested to see what the devs have in store for improving the website. And one can only hope that it doesn't turn out like every other social media did, either died out of irrelevancy or become another clone of a bigger social media platform. Time will tell whether or not Bluesky will be something that's a force to be reckoned with or just go out with a whimper. But until then, goodbye and take care, and I'll see you on the next video or stream. Peace.